Today's goal is to solve rational equations graphically. You've been solving them algebraically by getting a least common denominator, but sometimes if your function is really messy or nasty, it's helpful to solve graphically. Our first example, a new firm predicts that upon releasing a new social media product, so like Facebook or Snapchat or something like that, the function to the right will model the number of users as a function of, meaning the next thing they say is going to be x, a number of weeks. So here's your x value. So this is the number of weeks after it was released. And then this would be the number of users. How long will it take for the firm to have 500 users? Well, they even wrote in a line for us. Here's 500 users. So it will take, let's see, about maybe 2.8 weeks. Okay, how many users does it predict to have 2 weeks after the product was released? Well, here is 2 weeks. So, oops, I'm sorry. Here's 2 weeks, so we'll trace over to number of users, right? We need to trace to the y value. It'll have about, maybe this is 120 users. Handy. Okay, next example. The equation E of A represents the expected years remaining of a resident's life E. Oh, okay, so E is the number of years we expect they'll live, right? The number of extra years of their life. And A is their current age. Okay, A is their current age. Okay, the model is designed for citizens currently 80 years old or younger. Determine his current age if he's expected to live for another 23 years. Expected, okay, so this would be your E value. Well, if we're solving graphically, we can type this into our calculator. So let's do that. Let's type the function in. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to type in this function. I'm going to put the numerator in parentheses. So I have 6,400 minus 160x plus x squared over, again in parentheses, so that order of operations doesn't just divide like the x squared and the 82, but you want to divide the whole numerator by the entire denominator. Okay, make sure nothing up here is highlighted. If it is, press enter to unhighlight everything. I really like zoom fit as a good starting point. This is just going to say your calculator will choose a window. That's kind of nice to see. Okay, here's my function. Now my original question asked if E is 23, that's my y value. If my y value is 23, what's my x value? So I want to look at the y value 23. Well, let's just type that in as a horizontal line. So somewhere there should be a horizontal line, but we don't see it. Let's look at our window and figure out why. Oh, because my y values are all huge. So let's say from 0 to whatever, 78, will allow me to see that horizontal line that's somewhere between 0 and 78. It looks like my function is going down, but I can't see further. I wish I could see further over here. The hardest part about this process is choosing the right window. I want to go further out, so let's try, I don't know, 25. It may take us a couple times to like guess and check the right window. See, I'd like to still go further. I'd like to see what's happening over here, so we need to make the maximum x value bigger. I don't know, let's try something really big, like 100. Interesting. Okay, this looks like it intersects the line at 2 different times. So let's go to calculate. I'm pressing second trace to calculate the point where they intersect. First curve, press enter. Second curve is just jumping to the other function. I don't care to guess. It's just going to tell me they intersect where x is 55. Well, there's another intersection, so let's scroll all the way over here, sort of close to that, and calculate the other intersection. First curve, second curve. This time I will scroll over for my guess. Oops. Let's try it one more time. First curve, second curve, guess. I'm really close. Oh, well, maybe this is the only intersection. So if the y value is 23, that's E, then A is 55. So that's like saying if you're expected to live for another 23 years, that's because you're currently 55 years old. Okay, let's look at another question. Final one of the day. Let's sketch what our solution was and show evidence of how we got it. We had some function that looked like this. This was e of a, where this was e, right? Your y values are e values. Then we sketched y equals 23 and looked for the place where they intersected. They intersected at about 55.1, 23. And so Mark is currently about 55 years old. That's what we believe his current age to be. Okay, final one. If LeBron James is currently 30 years old, currently that's our A value or our X value, how much longer do we expect him to live? Now again, we could just substitute, or you can make your calculator substitute for you. We already have this function typed in, so now we have an X value. Go to calculate value. You're just typing in the X value. If LeBron is 30 years old, it's just going to spit out the Y value associated. So we're saying if LeBron is currently 30, we expect him to live for another 48 years.